Okay, this is part 2 of the Vise Assembly. When we left, we had this sub-assembly made, and we had the base, and we had the handle, the knob for the handle, and we in the jaw. We created the jaw in the tutorial, the previous video. So this is part 2, and now we're going to assemble this sub-assembly to the base. So we're going to come up here and start a new assembly, and we're going to place the base in the assembly. And we're going to say okay. Now notice I could place more, but we only want one. And we're going to do what we did last time. We're going to make sure that the planes are aligned. So we're going to do a constrain, and we're going to align these two planes and apply so that we have both planes available. And we're going to look at the base plane and the base plane of the original make that one visible. So we got that one visible and this one visible, and we're going to do a constrain, and we're going to align the base plane with the base plane and apply. So now this thing is constrained, and I can turn these off because we won't need these again, at least not in the near term, I don't think. And we won't need that. But we do need this one. We don't need those. Okay, so we're good. But now what we're going to do is we're going to place the jaw subassembly. So we're creating an assembly, but we're bringing in a subassembly. So we've got this vise jaw, and because we created these on the same orientation when we created them, this is going to make it a lot easier to assemble. So they come in and we say okay, and we're going to constrain this. We're going to mate this surface with that surface and apply. And we're going to align this plane with, I can get it to come up. If not, I'm going to have to go pick it from the jaw origin. There. I'm going to have to align those two. They're aligned. So we're okay. Now we want this thing to be able to move back and forth, so we didn't constrain it longitudinally. We constrained it this way because we wanted aligned, and we wanted it mated to this surface here because it's going to sit on that surface, and we want these two holes aligned. So now we can turn this plane off, and we can turn this other plane off. Got a couple here we can turn off. For now, we can turn that off. And we can go back to the sub-assembly and turn this one off. And we can save this. And we can close this as well. So now notice that the subassembly, and it's kind of difficult to see in this material, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the visibility of it a little bit. View style, shaded with edges, so therefore we can see it a little bit better. But if you notice on this, those guides underneath there hold that jaw down and guide it along, so it slides back and forth along here. So that's our assembly. So we're going to save this, and we're going to call this Vise Assembly. And we're going to say yes to all, so we're going to say okay. Now we've got one more part to make, and that's the shaft that goes in here. And it's pretty straightforward. It's a 5/8 inch diameter shaft, and it's 6.5 inches long. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new part. And it is made out of alloy steel, so I'm going to come up here to the parts and eye properties. And it's not going to allow me to do that until I save it, probably. No, it does. Physical, it is alloy steel. So steel alloy, apply, close. And it's pretty straightforward. And I'm going to do it this way because that's the direction it's going to be going. And I'm going to make it 0.625. And I'm going to extrude it. And I'm going to extrude it both directions because I want it centered. And I'm going to make it 6.5. So that's the start of it. And then I've got a part on this end. And it's 3/4 of an inch. So it's 3/4 of an inch, and it is a little bit larger in diameter this way by 1 inch. So I'm going to extrude it the other direction 1 inch. Oh. And I'm going to edit that. I want it to go the other direction. No. 1 inch. No, I want 3/4 of an inch. And it didn't like that at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this one. And I'm going to shorten this by 1.5 inches. Because I got a 1 inch on this end and a 1/2 inch on the other end. So I'm going to change the dimension on this. Edit feature. Make this 5 inches. So then I can extrude on this end. Extrude. Cancel. So I'm going to delete this again. Having a problem with this, so we're going to stop this right now. Okay, I don't know what it was, but I got it to extrude this piece, and I'm going to do it to the other end now, 1/2 inch for this shaft, and I'm going to do an extrusion here, and it's 0.75 in diameter as well. I don't know what it was acting up. I'm not sure what it was doing. And I want to extrude it out, but I'm only going to go a 1/2 inch. And so that gives me the shaft, and then on the to adjust, I need a chamfer on this of 45 chamfer of 0.625. 0.65. And pick the edges. So it looks like that. And then this has a hole in it for the handle to go in. So I have to create a plane. And perfect. So I'm going to create a plane. tangent to the surface, and parallel to a plane. So we've done this in class, tangent to the surface, parallel to this plane, and tangent to this surface. There's my plane. So now I'm going to create a 0.375 hole through on this, and I'm going to do my sketch. If I can find my arrow, here it is. There. And right through the center here, so I'm going to put it right through here. And that's 0.375. And I'm going to finish that. And then I'm going to put a hole through it. And I'm going to pick the center of this. And the hole will go through, all the way through. And it will be 3/4 of an inch in diameter. And that should be right. You know, that's not right. Hole, position 1. Nope. What is the wrong here? Diameter, oh, it's 0.375, that's why. That's what I wanted. So now I've got to got to be able to read first. And I want it to go all the way through, not just partially through, so I want it to go all the way through. So I say, okay, so that's my shaft. I'm going to turn this plane off visibility-wise, and I'm going to assemble this once I get this saved here. Vise screw shaft. Save. So I'm going to assemble this to the rest of the assembly. And we don't need this open, so I'm going to assemble this. And vise screw shaft, and say open. And I'm going to bring it in here and say okay. Now this constraint is a little different. We're going to use the hole constraint. We're going to insert, and we've got two different choices: aligned or opposed. I believe the one we want is, yep. And we may want that one. No, we want this one. And we're going to apply. And then we can put a value in there. At 0.5. Well, we're going to have to edit this one. We're going to edit the feature here. Having a hard time getting all this stuff to show up here. Ah, there's the value right there. I wanted to go a negative 0.5. That didn't work either. Zero. And I'm going to go negative 0.5. No. Yes. So now it's seated in there where it's supposed to be. And this is like this. And I can rotate this if I need to. If I want to rotate it, I can. It doesn't restrict me. There's no restriction on rotation on this right now because I have not constrained it. And I can save my assembly. So the next thing to do is to insert the handle that goes into this hole and put the ends on it. So this handle, we don't need this anymore. And this knob, we don't put one on each end of the handle. So the handle is nothing more than a rod, and it's got these knobs on each end. So I'm going to create a subassembly with the handle, and so I'm going to create a new subassembly. And I'm going to use the handle. See, here's the handle. I'm going to say OK. And I'm going to attach the handle knob. And I've got to have one on this end, so I'm just going to start there. And I'm going to constrain again here. And I'm going to put this in there. And I'm going to say apply. Now you notice that when you bring up the view, and change the style of the view so that you can see the hidden edges, the handle goes back to where it's seated in the hole. And there's going to be another one on this end. So we would do that again, come back here, and place the same thing, only this time we're going to rotate it around the y-axis so that it's like that. And we're going to constrain and do this. And we're going to do this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and pick this inner surface in here. There we go. So apply, okay. And we have ourselves a handle. And we're going to save it. And we're going to say Vise handle. And we've got this part. And we can come back and assemble that to our final assembly if we want to, but I'm not going to go into that because you've seen how to do that and how to get the parts all in the same project and put the parts together. And so your next job is to do that jig that you did in AutoCAD, and you're going to download the parts that you need from MasterCar and assemble those parts the same way I just did this, remembering to align them, to do the insert for round objects like bolts and nuts and things. So that'll be your project Wednesday. I won't be there. You'll be watching these videos and doing that project, and I'll see you the following Monday.